Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome, everybody, to Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV. To our friends in Sioux Falls, we say good morning. KNBN in Western South Dakota and all parts in between at Inforum.com. Welcome, everybody, to the day after the day. Shout out and congrats to those that won elections yesterday. It's the best part of our society is we're able to choose those who we want to lead. I was not able to participate since I live in Minnesota, but for those that live in North Dakota, job well done yesterday. And for those that won, to our newly elected mayor, congratulations. And now work to do. So, and congrats to our newsroom. Anytime an election day is in the books, there's just a loud exhale that comes depending when the night ends. And we had the double whammy, triple whammy last night because it was election night. We also had severe weather, and we had a hockey game on. We had a nationally televised broadcast. I felt for Jesse Ritka because I have been on the other end of those calls. I'll never forget a nationally televised NBA game we preempted. This is 15 years ago probably because we had severe weather, that the calls that came into the sports office, this is when we were not that far away from my current location now, were just unbearable. Now, last night, we timed it out pretty well. The crawl going, double whammy with the crawl with the weather updates and the election updates. I don't believe we interrupted any. You didn't miss any game action. And the best thing that happened last night, which will tee off our show, is that the game ended in regulation. There was no overtime. We hit the air on time so we could give you both the results and the weather. That was, at least for me, I'm thinking, oh boy, we got a chance here to really have a rough night for the phones for anybody answering. But thankfully for our producers, didn't have to worry about that because the Hurricanes took care of business. Let's show you what happened in game number 4 from Las Vegas last night in the Stanley Cup Final. Golden Knights led the series 2-1 coming in. And if you missed the first minute and a half, you missed the first goal of the game because the Hurricanes came out of the gates flying. Logan Stankoven scores his 11th goal of the playoffs. It's 1-0. Jackson Blake has become a superstar in this postseason. The former UND stud scores here, his 6th of the playoffs. More on him later in our show. It's 2-0 Carolina. Back come the Golden Knights. Mark Stone, the captain. I'm not sure how you let this guy get behind the defense. This is a fabulous pass. Stays on sides. That's like the old stretch pass when you're playing NHL 94. It's 2-1 Carolina. Hurricanes get a power play. Remember how lethal they are with a man advantage. The shot initially is stopped. There's Jordan Stahl camped out in front. Scores right there to beat Carter Hart. It's 3-1 Carolina. All this in the first period. In the dying seconds of the period, check this out. Vegas with Mitch Marner blasts one. Now, take a look here. Where the puck is and the time on the clock, it's got to fully cross the line before 000. It does not. It is waved off. No goal. And it remains 3. Imagine if that does count, how differently this game may have gone. Now, the second period has been the domain of the Golden Knights in this series. They did it again last night. William Karlsson scores. And now it's 3-2. Nifty wraparound for a one-timer from Rasmus Andersson. Brett Howden he might win the Conn Smythe. That's the playoff MVP if Vegas wins this. That is his 14th on a beautiful wrister, using the defenseman as a screen. The game is tied at 3. But Carolina has owned the third in this series. Watch the effort from Jordan Staal. If Carolina wins the Stanley Cup, this is going to be played forever. That is an unbelievable goal from his stomach. Look at this. And beats the outstretched hands of Carter Hart. That is a fabulous goal. Again, if Carolina wins it, remember that. Vegas had a couple of chances. The crazy part is Carolina went to Brandon Bussey in net, who hasn't played a game since April when he beat the Islanders. And they weren't very good this year. The Knights have pulled their goaltender in Hart. And another beautiful save by Bussey. That, again, he has not played after playing Saturday night in 2.5 months. Golden Knights get out of the zone. This is a perfectly placed goal from Nikolai Ehlers, and that is your ball game. Carolina has evened it up at 2 games apiece as they beat Vegas by the final count of 5-3 last night, led by the great Jordan Staal, scoring 2. Jackson Blake was huge in this game as well. He's now moved into third overall in scoring in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He had a goal and assist last night. And we are tied at 2. This series has been, this is the first game of this series that wasn't decided by 1 goal. The first 3 games all were 1-goal games. We had 2 overtime games. This one was a nail-biter, needed an empty netter late. So we know we're going to have at least 2 more. Game 5 will be tomorrow night back in Raleigh. Got to know that's going to be rocking. That'll be on WDAY at 7. Then they take 2 days off. They extend this out. The longer you go, they give the guys a little bit more time to recover. So Game 5 tomorrow. Then Game 6 will be Sunday night. That will be back in Vegas. That'll be on WDAY at 7 o'clock. And then if they need a Game 7, that'll be a week from today, I want to say. Another 2 days off. Yeah, it'll be a Wednesday to conclude the NHL season. Great game, great series, and the ratings have reflected that, which is not the end-all be-all of what we judge things. Unfortunately, it's become that in this day and age for sports TV viewership, or at least appreciation. The games have been great. That's all you want when you get to the Cup or the championship series of anything. If it's football, baseball, you name it, you want a great championship series, and those 2 teams have delivered. Game 5 coming up tomorrow. More on hockey later on in our show. I gotta be honest with you right now. We're gonna show you the Twins game. I didn't see 1 lick of the Twins last night. The game was delayed by 2 hours, and I saw the result. So I'm like, there's no real need for me to go back and watch the highlights. So we're gonna do the highlights together for the first time, which is always fun when I used to do that on the sports. I mentioned at Detroit to start a brief roadie here after losing 3-4 to Kansas City. Game was delayed by 2 hours. Byron Buxton didn't mind the delay. He starts things with an absolute screamer to left center. It's 1-0 Minnesota. Buxton with his 19th home run of the year. There were plenty of home runs in this game. Josh Bell in the third with his team. I'm not sure if they lost the camera. They lost where the ball was here. Bell, you remember, I mentioned on Sunday, had some interesting comments about the trade deadline. So he's motivated maybe to get another job. It's 2-2 after that. It's 3-2 when Brooks Lee hits a home run, and the game is tied at 3. Not done. Cody Clemens later in the inning hits a bomb to right. It's 4-3 Twins. Remember, Detroit has been god-awful this season. They've been injured. They're not playing very well. So the Twins are looking to take advantage. They did not. Bottom of the 5th. That ball is hammered by Kerry Carpenter for a home run. Taj Bradley, after a great start, the last few starts, not so good. Game is tied up at 4. It's 5-4. This might be my new favorite name in baseball. Dylan Dingler with a 3-run home run to left. That's a bomb, actually. You hit it there at Comerica off Taylor Rogers. You've hit it a ways. It's 8-4 Detroit. They blew the game open after that. They added 2 more runs in the 7th inning. Tigers go on and win it. 10-4 is the final. The Twins have now lost 11 of their last 15 games. Bradley, 4 1/3, 7 hits, 5 runs, 3 walks after an electric start. Drops down to 5-3 as you see on the season. Just looking real quick of his last few starts, run-wise, what he's given up. Let's go back here. Last 7 starts. So last night, 5. 4 against the White Sox, 4 against the Pirates, 1 against the Red Sox. That was a good start. That started that 17 straight days of playing. 2 against the Nationals, 2 against the Mariners, and then 6 against the Rays in late April. Last 4, not so good. Game 2 coming up tonight from Detroit. Lastly, before we set up the show, we got a lot to get to today, so we're going to try and clear out as much as we can here in this opening segment. I'm here to tell you, Nafisa Collier hasn't played a game yet for the Minnesota Lynx, and they're their best team in the league. That's because the Lynx had the 2nd pick in the draft. And remember, we talked about it when the WNBA draft happened in early April. That are they going to take Lauren Betts? Because we knew AZ Fudd was off the board. She was going to go to Dallas and play with Paige Beckers, her collegiate teammate from UConn, right? So that wasn't going to happen. But we figured the UCLA standout, the Final Four MVP, seemed like a slam dunk for Minnesota. But Cheryl Reeve threw a curveball. She drafted Olivia Miles, the great point guard who played at Notre Dame and ended her career at TCU. That might be the best pick that the Lynx have had in a long time, because Miles right now may not be the Rookie of the Year. She might be the MVP of the WNBA. Last night, they got out against and Dallas has been good this year. And Miles has been sensational. Knocks down the 3. They're up 12. Now in the second quarter, Kayla McBride gets open. She had 22 last night. Moved to the second half. I mean, she's just having fun out there, just dominating teams. She's able to get to the bat. I mean, look at this. There's no resistance for the up and under. She had 24 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and the Lynx boat raced Dallas 100-76. They are the best team in the league right now, and I care to tell you that the best player in the league who plays for them, and in my opinion, that's Nafisa Collier, hasn't played a game yet. The Lynx are 10-2. They're a game and a half better than Vegas and a game and a half better than Atlanta. 2 games better than New York, their arch nemesis. So fun to see what's happened so far through the early part of the WNBA season. We had a packed show coming up for you here today on this Wednesday morning. Glad you're joining us here on a hump day where thankfully the humid weather is gone. Hopefully everybody made out okay with the storms that blew through last night. Our guy Drew Trafton is waiting in the wings. Here we go. Tomorrow the World Cup begins. Our guy is going to the World Cup. We will have our official Hot Mic World Cup preview. So if you are soccer inclined, we will try to educate you the best we can on what's coming up for the next 40 or so days. It begins tomorrow. The United States will play its first game on Friday night. So we'll get that from Drew coming up in just a few minutes. At about 9:40, we'll visit with Zach McGlynn from Stephen, Minnesota to now Tracktown, USA. He will compete later today in the decathlon at the NCAA Track Championships. Zach's got a great story on basically being thrown into the decathlon, and now he's become one of the very best in the country. He has the 5th most points scored in that event this year, and if he does that, he's a first-team All-American, which for the Bison men, they've only had a couple of those at the outdoor meet, Peyton Otterdahl being one. Peyton Otterdahl is a 2-time Olympian, so that tells you the category that Zach would be in if he's able to do that. So looking forward. That's a real fun conversation we have with Zach. And then at 10 o'clock, Brad Schlossman is back with us. Yeah, we talked some off-season hockey with Brad. We'll talk, obviously, in the Stanley Cup Final, what Jackson Blake has done. UND has got some movement they've had here with the NHL draft coming up in a couple weeks, and they could very well have maybe 2 top 5 picks. But we didn't get a chance to get to this because Friday got overloaded with news dumps that were happening, whether it was UND's tampering penalty to Drew Kessel's commitment. Also, what came out Friday, the NCAA has codified its 5-for-5 eligibility, which will be voted on in 2 weeks' time with the Division I cabinet. Why Brad is relevant to this is because college hockey and its coaches and commissioners pushed this through to make it happen, because we talked about this when initially surfaced that college hockey would not like it. With the initial proposal was your eligibility would start upon high school graduation or your 19th birthday. Well, we know in college hockey, those guys aren't enrolling in college right away. Some are going to go play here for the Fargo Force, or they're going to play junior hockey somewhere. That has now been amended. Brad will give us the lowdown on how that came about, because this is happening. I know we can lament the Brendan Sorsby case, and it is awful, and there's more coming out every day on the NCAA has no teeth, but this is a step in the right direction. If you're sick of seeing 6th and 7th year players still playing, this is going to put, I would think, a stop to that. That you get 5 years. There's no more red shirts. There's no more medical hardships. This is what you get. Once you enroll, your clock starts, and you get 5. So we'll talk with Brad about that coming up later on in the show. Also in our second hour, I know it's June 10th, but the Vikings quarterback deal is not going to go away. I mean, it was the lead story on 2 separate national shows yesterday. You'll hear from J.J. McCarthy, Kyler Murray, and Kevin O'Connell about what the Vikes are going to do with their QB situation. So that's coming up in our second hour as well. A lot to get to. Glad you're joining us. We'll take our first break. We come back. The official Hot Mic World Cup preview. Buckle up, folks. We'll see what the U.S. men's national team will do. All that when Hot Mic returns on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com.
The biggest Seahawks, Sounders, and Mariners fan in the FM area. It's time for Views with Drew.
All right, here he is, our guy Drew Trafton, joining us, our official soccer beat guy. And I figured, the World Cup starts tomorrow. Breaking news. Sources are telling Hot Mic that the World Cup starts tomorrow, that you're actually going to the World Cup. So I figure, there might be some value in actually, talking about it here.
We can chat a little bit about it. It's the world's conversation, even though the hype, you really can't feel it. I don't think still in the U.S.
I want to get to that. I talked about it yesterday.
There's not a lot of juice right now.
I blame Fox.
Yeah.
If this was on ESPN, you've been hit over the head with it in terms of promotion. Hey, it's coming.
Yeah.
The first match is literally tomorrow afternoon in the middle of the day. The United States plays Friday night. I haven't seen
heard anything.
I haven't seen one bit.
Yeah.
Not that I watch Fox all the time, but nothing.
Yeah, and I think the rest of the world, it's at fever pitch right now, just in terms of, and you'd expect that, but it's you can just, if you go on social media and just kind of skirt around the edges of the conversation, you hear it really loud and clear.
I will share something. You and I actually we watched the U.S. men play 4 years ago. We watched a couple matches here in town, which was great. We watched with the official watch party, which I think is actually at a different spot.
It's not at
Sicky's now. I think it's downtown. Michael Brecker, former Shanley coach and AD, sent him. Actually, he emailed me on this. So sorry, I'll do a little production meeting here on air.
Those are cool. Those are really cool.
So we did it.
Check out
a couple years, or a couple now, 4 years ago. The American Outlaws official fan group in downtown Fargo. We recently hosted an event for last Sunday's World Cup preparation match against Senegal. They also had another one against Germany. They're hosted at Side Street, so not too far from where we're at right
that'll
here,
be a great spot
which is a good spot.
Yeah, totally.
They're also planning on hosting for the U.S. men's national team matches at Broadway Square, so downtown.
Yeah.
They're going to have a big blowout for people to just come. On Friday night, which looks like the weather's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
To go watch the U.S. beat ? Paraguay.
Beat.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully, soundly. That. In that, I went to the knockout rounds in the last World Cup too against Netherlands.
So we had that on at the Fargo Dome when we were getting ready for Bison game day. We had it up on the big screen watching that.
Yeah, because that was a different time of year than it typically is for the World Cup.
We lose an extra time.
We didn't lose in extra time. They beat us. Yeah,
did we even score?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like 3.
We lost to the Dutch.
3-2, 4-2, something like that. But it was an electric atmosphere because the game was in the morning.
Yeah.
It was like at I can't remember what time it was. It was like 9 or something like that.
Again, played in December because FIFA decided to put the World Cup
but it was like
in a desert nation.
Yeah, it was cool. They did a good job with that in 2022.
All right, so before we're going to go through each of the groups here, and there's more teams. For those that don't know, it expanded from 32 to 48. Yes. What was the initial reasoning on that? Just because they want more money?
Yeah,
more opportunity for more games?
Yes, both. I mean, it's exactly what we see with college football, right? I mean, it's just like you're not going to turn down like the extra ad revenue, all of that. I mean, like FIFA's just as hungry as any other sporting organization, and more so in some respect.
So it goes, total matches go, Drew, from 64 to 104. Yeah. That is not a small amount. That's a ton of inventory for Fox to find more games for.
And look, you're going to get more stadiums involved in certain host countries. You're going to get, it's like more cities involved. It's a big driver.
It also means now if you win the thing, you got to play 8 total matches instead of 7, if I understand correctly, right? Because there's another knockout round.
3 group matches, a round of 32, a round of 16, a quarterfinal, semifinal, then the championship.
So this is going to be a grind for whoever wins this thing.
Yeah, it's a slog. I mean, the idea, and certain teams are going to, if they're less in quality, a really good tactic in the game of soccer is you bunker and you hang back and you try not to concede, and that can be really taxing on the better squads out there. I mean, last World Cup we saw in group play, the world champion Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia.
Yes,
nobody saw that coming. That's a huge upset.
And yet they still won the whole thing.
And they won. They ended up winning it.
That match, the championship match.
It was
quick
incredible.
on that. The Argentina-France match. That was Mbappe with Messi. And I'm not a great soccer mind, but I know those guys. And that was.
That was like,
awesome.
That was like watching
really
Magic and Bird go, head to head in their prime. It was unreal.
Do they both have hat tricks? One of them did.
Messi or Mbappe did. I can't remember, but yeah, that was really something.
Here are the sites they're going to be played. Dallas, where the Cowboys play. Mexico City, MetLife Stadium, obviously where the Jets and Giants. Atlanta's hosting. That'd be interesting, where the Falcons play.
Yep.
Kansas City, which is dynamite soccer community there.
Huge.
Houston is one. I'm question mark on that. San Fran is doing one where the 49ers play. L.A., obviously, that's where the U.S. men will play on Friday.
They'll play two of their group stage games.
Philadelphia's getting one. That should be fantastic in Philly.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, we know Seattle, because Drew's going there. Boston's getting one. Miami, Vancouver, which Vancouver will be dynamite. That'll be really
BC
good.
Place is cool.
Monterrey in Mexico, Guadalajara, and Toronto will also get a site.
Yeah,
so it's Mexico, Canada, and the United States all hosting for this.
Yeah, in Estadio Azteca, the stadium in Mexico City gets the first match. Now, when you watch these matches, they're not going to refer to the stadiums by the names we know them. It will not be Arrowhead. It will be Kansas City Stadium.
Right.
And
what is it? Is it New York Stadium or New Jersey Stadium?
I think it'll be New Jersey Stadium. Yeah, I think they refer to it. I've been reading like match notes, and they refer to it as New Jersey, which is it. I mean, it is, but
we can't even get it called Jet Stadium. Not even for this, we can't even get it. All right, shall we do the groups here?
Yeah, let's do the groups.
All right, so let's start Group A. That starts tomorrow. Mexico is in this group with South Africa, South Korea, and Czechia. That's the first group here. Who do we see as the favorite in this one?
Mexico.
Okay.
And I think you'll end up with probably South Korea coming out of it. Here's the thing. Don't sleep on African teams this tournament. I think this is a really strong year, and African teams never won the cup before, but not these guys.
Okay.
Like South Africa's not the team.
Now, just quick on the format on this, for people that are wondering, the top 2 in each group advance, but then it gets really murky on who advances after that, right?
Yeah, so it's 8 of the best 12 third place teams move on, and you have to like go through tiebreakers and points, and it gets really complicated, which could really set up the bracket differently depending on which of those third place.
So winning
teams
it puts you in a good spot. Winning your group puts you in a really good spot.
Yeah, depending on the group.
Group B has Canada, because obviously they're one of the hosts. Bosnia and Herzegovina, who could have been put in our group.
Yep.
Qatar and Switzerland. The Swiss are good.
The Swiss are really
Yeah.
good, and early on when these group pairings came out, people thought Canada had a real shot at winning this group.
Yeah.
But they've gotten really injured the last few months. Like, they have not been able to stay healthy. So I think this is an easy win for the Swiss.
Okay.
I mean, Canada, and I think Canada moves on in the second because of the host advantage, and they're a good squad. They're really well coached, so that's going to matter, I think, in this tournament.
Group C has Brazil, which automatically will get everybody's attention. You
Yes,
have
it will.
Morocco. Morocco is good. Morocco had a great run 4 years ago.
Yeah, they were in the semifinal. Yeah.
You have Haiti and Scotland. Is this a group of death, or is this just two really good teams?
Two really good teams at the top. And the thing is, both of these squads could win the World Cup. Like, I mean, I think, this is me saying, remember those African teams?
Yep.
Morocco and
Is one of
Brazil
them,
are right next to each other in the world rankings at 6 and 7.
Wow, Morocco's that high?
Yeah, they're in.
Okay.
A lot of people kind of see them as like a deep, like a kind of a sleeper team in this tournament. And Brazil's been playing really well, but I actually like Morocco heading into this. I just think it sets up well for them.
Group D is our group. That's the United States with Paraguay. That's who we play on Friday night. Australia and Turkey is in here. Is this our group to lose?
Yes, but I mean, the only team that I'm really worried about right now is Turkey.
Okay,
like they're good, but it's Paraguay lost.
Paraguay's
their
a
best
South
player.
American country, aren't they good? Wouldn't they normally be good?
Yes,
okay,
but they've lost. They lost their best player.
He
over
got
the
hurt
weekend.
over the weekend. I saw that. I don't know why that was on my algorithm, but this guy was getting carried off and he was crying.
Yes,
he's out
because he was. I mean, you work your life for
that's
this,
terrible.
and you don't get there.
I don't feel that bad because that means a better chance for us to win.
Yeah, and we play Paraguay and Australia the first two matches. If we get 6 points, we're moving on.
Well, you're going to be at the second one.
I am.
So that's the good
Australia.
luck charm. We're going to beat Australia and send us through to the next
or
round.
I get the blame. I'll take either.
All right, Group E jumps off the page to me because
Yes.
there's Germany, Curacao, which is making its debut, I think.
Yeah. First,
Look at me, I got that.
Yeah.
The Ivory Coast, which normally has been really good,
They're
and
very
Ecuador. Now, this looks like a group of
this
death
is a
to
group
me.
of death.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like you do not. So here's the thing with the third place conversation that we were just having. You do not want to play the third place team in this group.
So that's who Group D would play in the knockout
no,
stage?
we
Okay,
wouldn't.
all right.
But you don't want to like.
Yeah, a lot of these teams look good.
In Ivory Coast and Ecuador, I believe they play the last game of this of the group,
group.
round robin.
Okay.
That is going to determine so much in this tournament, and both of them are awesome. So it's
great.
You know,
All right.
yeah. But Germany is as like they're definitely a contender. 3 teams in this group could like make a deep run.
Okay.
Like it's crazy.
Group F has the Dutch, who we know how good they are,
Very
Japan, Sweden, and Tunisia.
Yeah, this is another really solid group.
Okay.
A lot of people have Japan as like their team that could surprise people and make a deep run. I think the AFC, the conference that they're in, is a little overrated. So I think it's this don't overthink it situation, and it's Netherlands and Sweden moving on.
Group G has the Belgium, which they were the team like 10 years ago, and they never won anything. So are they? Is it over for them? Are they still really good?
They're they're the kind of like that team that gets perennially
It's like the Bills.
held up. Yeah, like, oh, it'll happen eventually. Or the Ravens, with Lamar Jackson. It's like, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And, they're like, that's Morocco now, I think. Like,
Okay,
they've been
so they've
phased
lost.
out
Okay, they're out.
a little bit. But they're still, I mean, they're a
Okay.
top 10 team. They're ranked ahead of Germany in the world rankings. They could make a run. Iran and Egypt, they're both solid. Like, they're not awful.
This is Belgium's group to lose,
Yeah,
though. Okay.
and watch this group, though, because we could, this is a,
we could match
the
up
third
here?
place team.
Okay.
Or the second place team, we could potentially play these
right.
guys. Yeah.
Group H has Spain, which automatically jumps off the page because Spain is really, really good in this sport.
My note for Spain is, oh Lord, like they're just like that good. Like
Cape Verde, they're in the World Cup for the first time.
Yep.
The Saudis and Uruguay. Uruguay normally is pretty good as well.
Yeah, so you have 2 world champions here, and only 8 nations have ever won the cup. So
there you go.
They're both really good. So this isn't, don't overthink it.
I for Izzo, and this one jumps off to me because the teams in here are loaded.
Yeah.
You have France, who runner up, Senegal, who we just beat, who's good.
They're good.
Iraq, and then Wallivan's Norway team, and Norway's got maybe the best player in the world.
Yeah, and a face that you're going to come to know here. But I think France and Senegal are the two of the better squads here. Norway could definitely get one of those spots in the third place though, and Iraq's just not going to be competitive there.
We got 3 to go here. Group J was Argentina, the reigning world champs, and Messi's back, and this is it. this is it for him, right?
Yep.
The last time to do
I mean, we
this,
thought
I imagine.
last
right,
World Cup
that's
was
true.
too, but he's playing in the States now. He's slowing down.
Yep.
This is it.
Algeria, Austria, Georgia. I mean, this is like a layup city for them, right?
For Argentina, yeah, probably. I mean, Algeria is like nothing to like sneeze at. They're okay, and Austria. I mean, like it's hard to qualify in Europe, so like they're not bad either. So and then Jordan's kind of like the thanks for coming squad there. You know, it's like, hey, thanks guys. Thanks
You're 0-3 and head home. Yeah. Group K has Portugal, which obviously Ronaldo still plays. You have the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Uzbekistan, is that their first time?
No, I don't think
Have they been
so.
there
I think
before?
they've been there before.
And then Colombia. What do we make of this group?
Colombia is really hot right now. Like they are like, if you want to watch a fun match, there's a good chance like if you watch Colombia, you're going to be entertained because they can score.
Okay.
Portugal is like kind of a favorite like to win the whole thing, and they're overdue. Like they are so overdue. If there's a nation that's going to break into this group of 8 that's won, and add to it, they might be the team to take here.
Then the last group, Group H, has England in it. Talk about overdue.
Yeah.
Croatia, who's
They've won
normally
one,
good.
though. They won in the 60s.
But, I mean, it's been,
it's been a
60s,
long time.
Which is crazy. Ghana and Panama. This also looks like a very tough group.
And it is a very tough group. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Ghana does better than 4th in this group. And Panama.
We beat Ghana at the World Cup, right?
Yeah.
They beat us, and we've played them all the time.
3 times.
Right.
Panama, I think is better than people give them credit for. That might be like
that's
a
always
CONCACAF.
that's always a thorn in the
bias.
side. Yeah.
But and especially since this is being played in North America, like that might factor in. England's been doing nothing but complaining since they've been over here about the heat and humidity, which is hilarious because like they don't have air conditioning over there, so I don't quite get it. Croatia's just been really consistently good for a long time.
Man.
So but that group's interesting. That group's going to be tough.
So just as a sports viewer, there is you got a bracket here too? Look at this.
We surprised you.
Wow.
Bracket.
So you have USA playing.
Yeah. So this doesn't take a lot of this can change. It's really so. And here's the thing to think about. In my mind, there are groups out there that there are no teams that could win the cup, and then there are some groups where like 2 or 3 teams could win.
You can have us play Belgium in the.
I don't know if I like that. So here's the thing. There's a very real path where the route would be, you get that 3rd place game, you win that. Then you move on to Belgium to get to the quarterfinal.
I don't like that.
And the reward for winning the quarterfinal would be Spain.
Come on.
To get to the quarterfinal would be Spain. And it's like, that's lights out. Like, you're not winning probably either of those games. But, you get somewhere. There's some really juicy matchups. Like, no matter how the bracket stacks up.
Argentina, Uruguay. Holy cow, that's not
bad. You could see like France and England if one of them falls into second, playing like the quarter. It's like that could be the final. So there are some really good matchups.
I will just say before we got to wrap here, but as a sports observer, this is just. In the summertime, we get to this part where there's not a heck of a lot of live sports going on, especially in the middle of the day. You got everything here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at one day, Drew, where there's, was it Sunday? There's 5 matches?
Yeah.
5.
Yeah. And they start, and it's not like they're all backloaded on prime
there's
time.
There's some at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night.
Some of them are like 11:30, 1:30. Like they're spaced throughout the day. The other thing I will say before we go, and I know we got to be quick here, is that if you don't like soccer, and I totally respect that, that viewpoint that it's not a fun game if you didn't grow up with it or you're not passionate about it, they did make some rule changes that are going to into effect for this tournament for the first time that are going to really punish flopping.
Yeah.
It's really going to punish just different aspects of the game. It's going to keep it moving faster.
I was going to say delaying of the game too, because that to me just drives me crazy.
The referee will give the goal if they think that they're delaying a 5-second countdown, and if they don't, the other team gets possession.
Wow.
And then the goal kick means a corner kick, which is incredibly penalizing.
Yep.
If you don't get off the pitch fast enough, your team might be playing down a man for like 6-7 minutes.
So they're going to start the game.
Yeah, they're just like, no, you can't come in. We're keeping your substitute off because you didn't get off fast enough.
I like that.
So it's gonna make it. It's kind of like how baseball's made some time-saving rules. They're doing that with soccer this summer.
One email, Dom, could you please ask Drew if Portugal has a legitimate chance of winning the World Cup? Because I have decided to enter a World Cup pool and I drew them out of the hat.
Congratulations!
That's a good one on that one, right?
That's a fantastic. Right. And again, it all depends on how the rest of the bracket sets up around them. Because a couple of nations are going to go through just a gauntlet to get to the final. But yeah, that's a great draw.
Have a fabulous time.
Thank you.
Take plenty of pictures, and we'll
I'll
look
take
forward to
videos.
chatting when you get back, man, because
we'll-
that's going to be a scene. Seattle loves its soccer,
Yeah, it does.
and the United States men's national team is playing there. That's going to be awesome, man.
Crazy
Yeah.
in a loud venue.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
The Men in Blazers are going to be
They're
there.
gonna be
I
there
saw
on
that.
the pier. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
That's awesome. Thanks for coming by. Have a great time.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
we'll talk when you get back. Drew Trafton joining us. There it is. That's the Hot Mic official World Cup preview, folks. If anything goes wrong, you blame Drew on that because I'm not going to wage my battle into
My
that.
email is dtrafton@.
We'll come back. Zach McGlynn joins us on heading to the NCAA Track Championships in the Decathlon. That's coming up when we come back.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Drew for giving us the lowdown on that. Real quick before we get to our conversation with Zach McGlynn, shout out to our crew there that made all the graphics. I know that can't be easy. That looked great. And there you have it. That's our official preview, and we'll get ready for everything to begin tomorrow. It'll be on. It's background noise as well, especially when you have matches going on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You're going to have the College World Series start Friday, World Cup, U.S. Open is next week. Who says about a downtime? Let's go. By the time that's done, college football practices are going to be ramping up. So there's the bridge. And then we got training camp, and bam, we're off and rolling. Good stuff there. Also good stuff coming up later today. Eugene, Oregon, the site again of the NCAA Track Championships. Once again, North Dakota State will be represented, but for the first time, the Bison are sending not one, but 2 athletes in the decathlon. Last week, we had Kindred's Paul Olson on the show. Today, Stephen, Minnesota gets its turn in the spotlight in Zach McGlynn, who's had a fantastic year, both indoor and outdoor. Indoor, he was an All-American in the heptathlon. This year in the outdoor, he won the Summit League Championship a few weeks ago here in town and qualified outright. Didn't even have to try and qualify at the regional to go to the NCAA Track Championships. And I had a chance to visit with him before he left for Eugene about heading out there and what this has meant to him, considering he never even got a chance to do the decathlon before just a couple years ago.
It's going to be really special. First time at Hayward, and to be there with another teammate is going to be even more special. And so, yeah, we're really looking forward to getting out to Tracktown, USA, and leaving our Bison mark.
All right, how does the title of Summit League Greatest Athlete? That's the you won the decathlon. How's that suit you?
I don't like that title. I don't like people marking up my performances. It's just I just get to put these amazing abilities on display for people to see, and it just ended up turning out to be a good couple days. And so it was a really fun time, and now we go back to the drawing boards for Hayward.
Tell me about coming here. Was multi-events on the table, or were you going to be specific in one event?
That's a really good question, Dom. And I actually asked Coach P that as he was recruiting me. I said, my brother's done the multi here. My uncle, dabbled in the multi. Do you want me to dabble in the multi? He said, no, we're going to keep you as a high jump pole vaulter. And I think that was a little bit because of I wasn't very good at the high jump and the pole vault, and so they wanted me to specialize to see if they could get me good at 2 events. And that all kind of changed going into conference my freshman year. I was redshirted all indoor, and then the week before conference, they said, Zach, let's try the hurdles, and if it goes well, you're going to do the heptathlon at conference. And so that was kind of the start of the multi for me. And I guess the rest is history, and now I've just been doing it for the past 5 years. So
you're kind of thrown in.
Exactly.
See what happens.
Yep, exactly. And I think that was a good gamble on their part, and it ended up working out. And so, yeah, very, very grateful that they took a chance on me and threw me into something that was unknown, and it ended up paying off. So.
What event did you go in like, I have no idea what I'm doing?
Probably the longer running events, like the 1K. My freshman year, I don't remember what I ran at conference. It was a little over 3-minute 1K, which is very, very bad. And I think it was just a little bit of the unknown and a little bit of the, I don't really want to do this. And over time, you get used to it, and you end up, like, I enjoy the 1K now. And so that was probably the hardest event to get used to.
Why has it all clicked this year in your mind, from indoor success to what happened in the outdoor season?
Yeah, I think it's A lot of it is just because of Coach Shep and the program that he runs and the training itineraries that he writes up for us. I mean, he's the mastermind behind all of it. We just get to go and execute it. And so he really bought into, you know, events where I was lacking. And, you know, we invested more time into those, and it ended up paying off in the long run. Seeing, you know, my hurdles go way up, my shot put go way up, my throwing events go way up. It's all paid off, but yeah, largely because Shep has been so incredible and knows what we need and knows that we can't overtrain at the same time while needing to work on 10 events. And so, yeah, Coach Shep is incredible.
I was watching you last week in the JAV, so that's the next to last one. At that point, you're like, all right, we're like, what's the mindset when you're like in event 8 and 9?
I mean, at that point, what's running through my mind, especially last week, is I know I've got a good score going, and so it adds a little pressure, but it also takes a little bit off at the same time, because you understand, okay, I got the javelin and the 1500 left, two of the events where you're usually going to do okay in them. You know, you're usually not going to scratch all 3 javelins, and so you're usually sitting in a good spot. And at that point, I knew I was in a pretty good spot, and so I was like, I just got to go out here, throw the javelin when I can throw it, you know, try hit a PR. If I don't, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to go out here, throw the javelin, then get right into the 15, and we'll be sitting okay.
Well, you did that in the wind, man. You got to feel even more satisfied with that. Right?
Yeah, and I want to give a lot of that credit to Peter Dryberg, who was there coaching us, one of our athletes. He was huge on giving us pointers of throwing in the wind, because, you know, he's thrown in so much wind and understands how you have to throw the javelin. And he just told me, throw it down that right sector and it'll push it right into the middle. And sure enough, it did. And so it ended up working out. Yeah.
You saw your point score and like, okay, I'm automatically, I don't even worry about qualifying. I'm there. What went through your mind?
Yeah, when I finished the 15, I knew that I had to run like a 4:38 to get to 8K. And Shep told me that, and I said, I'm going to go out and try. I mean, I'm going to lay it all on the track. I'm not just going to lay down because I have a good score going. I came across in 4:45 or whatever, and I knew my time, but I was so exhausted, I just laid down. And one of my teammates, Ivan Askim, came up to me, and you know, I just asked him, I said, well, what is my final score? And when he said 79, as soon as I heard the 7 and the 9, I was like, wow, like that's a big score. And I wasn't really expecting that. And so that was cool.
To have you and Paul both be local guys to do this and to have the kind of success in the decathlon in Fargo, what does that say about what's happening here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it says a lot about the coaches at NDSU and what they're doing and who they invest in. You know, me and Paul were pretty underdeveloped in high school, and you know, they saw the potential, they saw our build, our frame, and they saw our athleticism and thought, you know, let's take a chance on these kids. You know, I think they do a good job at taking risks on local kids because they know their work ethic is really good and they want it. And yeah, they know that they have the facilities and the training regimen to get these athletes to be elite. But you know, if they can get a kid that is bought in and really wants to get better, man, they can develop some incredible athletes.
I remember talking to him about coming here, and he told me like I'd never done the high jump, and then I did it, and I set the state record. Is that like you guys have similar stories, like just being thrown in and doing it?
Yeah, I mean, his story is kind of complementary to mine in college. Of, you know, he got thrown into it in high school, and it ended up, you know, working out and being great. You know, because he probably would have told you, I'm gonna go play basketball in college. Yes, you know. Yes. And so yeah, his is similar to mine in the fact of I've seen the success, I guess, later in my life, in my career, whereas he saw it a little earlier. But he's got a lot of growth too. I mean, that kid's gonna be really good next year, and excited to continue to watch him grow and develop.
You guys ever had a dunk contest? Because I know he's not done that.
Yes, we actually have, and that's actually part of our training. Is we'll go into the shack and we'll go throw down some dunks, and it's good. You know, it's good working on the plyos and jumping, and so yeah, we throw it out in the shack.
Do you have? I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but you have a favorite event in the decathlon and least favorite?
I'd say my favorite is pole vault because, yes, I'm okay at it, but it's just really fun. You know, you get to run down the runway with a big stick, and then, yeah, you get launched through the air. So that's definitely my favorite. And then I'd say my least favorite is probably the 1500, just simply because you've already done 9 events, and, you know, your body is completely shot, and you gotta run a mile. And so that's the hardest event. But doing workouts for the 15 isn't bad at all because, you know, you're fresh and you haven't done 9 events. And so that's my favorite and least favorite for sure.
What is the day after like? Like last Sunday, did you move?
So the day after decathlon is probably the worst day. It's even worse than that feeling of when you're done with the 1500, you know, because you still have a little bit of adrenaline pumping through your body at the end. And if you have a good score, you know, that helps with the pain. But yeah, the day after, I mean, the body's very stiff. You don't really want to get out of bed. You got to kind of, you know, grease up the old joints a little bit. So yeah, the body is hurting the next day for sure.
Two last things. Tell me about the amount of support from back home to have this kind of year. What has that meant to you?
Man, it's meant everything. I mean, I open up my phone and see the Facebook posts from my grandparents, and to see all the comments of the people from back home, it means so much. It really does. And then, like, a good example is when we went down to indoor nationals, I think my support group had to have been around 30 people, traveled all the way down to Arkansas to watch me to compete. And so that is very special. And I think it shows the bond that, you know, these small communities have. And, you know, when athletes go out and do succeed, how the community is still backed behind them and really wants to see them succeed. And so, yeah, having the support from Steve in Minnesota means the world, and to continue to see them support me, it's incredible.
Are they making the trip to Eugene in a couple weeks?
Yeah, we're sending a pretty big group. You know, a lot of my family and some close family friends are coming, and so yeah, it's gonna be good.
What do you think will go through your mind hearing your name announced when you're out there?
I mean, honestly, at that time, they'll announce it at the start of the 100. I'm probably not going to be thinking of a whole lot rather than running, but no, it's going to be really cool and really special, and I think it's going to bring me back to, you know, just thinking about not even thinking that this was possible coming to college. You know, I would have never told you that any of this was going to be in my future if I would have sat down with you freshman year. And so just seeing how much I've grown and developed over college and understanding where I've gotten to is going to be really special.
Do you have to set like a personal best to be All-American in your mind, like top 8, like I'm going to have to do even better what I did just now?
Yeah, so that's the interesting thing of like the national meet is a lot of guys are banged up, and a lot of guys, the nerves get the best of them. And so if I lay down that score at nationals, that's going to, in my mind, put me in a really, really good position for probably top 5, maybe even top 3. And so if I can just replicate what I did this weekend, we're going to be in a really good spot, because a lot of guys are going to be banged up. They're going to be hurting. They're going to be nervous. And so, yeah, I'm just focusing on going out there and just doing what I did this weekend and not making the moment bigger than it really is.
Has this changed, this year's success has changed what you want to do post-college, or is like when this is it, I'm done?
Yeah, this has definitely changed that a lot, and got me thinking about, you know, professional track and pursuing this after, because, you know, my trajectory hasn't stopped. I haven't peaked out yet. I haven't plateaued in any way. And so I don't know what I'm capable of. And so I think post-collegiately, we're definitely going to be continuing to train and continuing to see, you know, what I can do, and see how far that can take me. Maybe it's Olympic trials, maybe it's the Olympics. And so, yeah, we're definitely going to keep training after college.
Great conversation there with Zach McGlynn, and we wish him the best of luck. It begins today at 3 o'clock. We'll give you the full list of when the events go and where you can watch them before our show is done today. But fantastic perspective. Is one of my favorite interviews I've done lately here with a guy that's burst on the scene, and we'll see him compete later today in Oregon. All right, we'll break, come back, we'll wrap up our first hour. Big second hour plan. Brad Schlossman coming up. We'll talk some hockey from last night and a few other big topics as well. Hot Mic rolls on. We're back on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Good stuff there with Zach McGlynn. NDSU track just keeps on producing. We saw that happen at the Summer League track meet just a couple weeks ago. All right, we're overdue. We got to get back on time. We'll break. We come back. Brad Schlossman will join us, get us up to date on everything going on in the college hockey world. And also, former UND standout Jackson Blake, 2 wins away from a Stanley Cup. We'll talk with Brad. We haven't done that in a bit. We'll do that when Hot Mic Hour 2 starts after this.
This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo. Time to chat some hockey.
Shot score! North Dakota wins!
The best college hockey writer in the country is on deck.
North Dakota, champions of the college hockey world!
Here's Brad Schlossman.
All right, it's been too long since we had our intro with Brad as we start our second hour as we are on the 10th day of June, and hockey is in fine form after another dynamite game in the Stanley Cup final last night. Carolina wins it. Series tied at 2 games apiece. It's great to see about it. Jackson Blake is front and center again for Carolina. You put it out there, and I'll flip it to you. Is Jackson Blake one of the contenders to win the Conn Smythe Award?
Well, right now he's leading Carolina in scoring. So if Carolina wins, he's gonna be in the mix. If Vegas wins, it's gonna be Mitch Marner, obviously. But if Carolina wins, there's really no obvious candidate for the Hurricanes. And with Jackson Blake being the leading scorer, obviously they need to win 2 more games. And if he produces in those games, he's going to be in that picture. He's going to be in the argument. It's, him, Taylor Hall, and Logan Stankoven have been Carolina's best line the whole playoffs. And some of Carolina's better players have actually been kind of quiet. Yeah. It's been that line. And then, in the final here, Jordan Stahl has been producing. So we'll see. But, when you're leading the potential Stanley Cup champions and scoring in the playoffs, you're going to be in that conversation.
It's funny because I know I heard ESPN's pregame talking about it yesterday. The Carolina's top line hasn't done anything in the Stanley Cup final. It's been Carolina's second line, and Blake is a big reason why they have a chance to maybe go ahead in this series on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's really been incredible how he's transitioned to the NHL. I think when, he was obviously just a really dynamic offensive player at UND, but I still think there were some questions on how is this going to go. There's still areas of his game he needed to work on, and Carolina's a loaded team. Can he carve out his spot in the NHL? Is he going to play in the American League for a year? Well, he just jumped right in. Yeah. He surpassed guys who were drafted higher than him, and he's just one of the most skilled and smart players that I've covered at UND. And I think sometimes smart players transition really well to the NHL because other guys are all as smart as they are, and they're reading off each other, and that leads to, maintaining puck possession and things of that nature. So he's had a great playoffs. And, Cole Smith has really done a nice job on Vegas too. He's second in the NHL in hits in the Stanley Cup playoffs, which is what he does. That's his game. He knows what his role is, and he plays it really, really well. So kind of 2 guys that were just very different style players here at UND, both chasing the Stanley Cup.
20 years ago, Carolina won it, and how big a deal that was, I thought, for the southern teams of hockey. Tampa Bay had already won one, and then the Lightning have gone and done it. The Panthers have gone and done it. Vegas has gone and done it. You've been out to Vegas. I know you've been to Tempe and seeing the amount of the warm weather teams having success is remarkable to me. It's fun to watch, but, man, it's if you would have told me that 20 years ago we'd have this much success, I don't know if any diehard hockey fan would have believed that.
Yeah, it's some of these places have been great places for free agents to go. They go to the rink in shorts, and their families love it. So, you think about that, and that's definitely a recruiting factor for some of these players. Like they can, go get a house on the beach and play hockey, and they've, so that's definitely an advantage that a team like Winnipeg doesn't have. Winnipeg goes after free agents. They have to overpay sometimes. Yeah. Guys will take discounts to go to some places like this.
Nor like Vegas, Miami, Tampa. Yeah, you have to twist your arm. Again, how did Phoenix not work? That's the thing you and I've talked about. How did Phoenix not work? I'll never understand.
Yeah, that is, I would have thought it was a place that worked. And part of it is like, you do have to be good. And some of these teams went through ebbs and flows, but when you're good, people will come out. Like Vegas has been good the whole time. Nashville's been good most of their existence, and they've had great fan bases there. Tampa Bay has been good. Florida's kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit. They were good, and then they weren't, and then they are again. But when you're good, the fans come out, and I think that's been the case with a lot of these teams. And I don't know if Arizona was ever all that good. They had a couple runs, but nothing's consistent.
Like San Jose. San Jose, Grant, has not been good lately, but now San Jose is loaded with top talent, and they've always been people go to the games. Like that's another market that people love. It's wild to me.
I mean, they had really good teams. They were in the playoffs every single year when they had Thornton and Marlowe and some of those guys. You know, they were terrific and they had a little lull, but they're going to be back soon, as you said.
If you have McGlynn Celebrini, you're going to be okay. Bedman hinted at expansion when the Cup final began his press conference. Brad, what do we know on? Are we talking Kansas City, Houston? Where else would the NHL want to go?
You know that. I mean, Houston's been a long rumored destination. You know, I don't know if anything's imminent there. I talked to friends down there in Houston, and they kind of throw cold water on it pretty quick. So, I don't know if anything's imminent right now, but
Quebec City, make it happen.
Yeah.
Get the Nordiques back now. That's all I have to say on that. You tweeted out, I saw the NHL put a photo up yesterday of the top 5, likely maybe top 6, 7 NHL draft picks that are up for the draft coming up at the end of the month. 2 UND guys are there. Keaton Verov's there and Carson Carroll's. How big a deal is this that these guys were at the Stanley Cup final last night?
Well, it has to be a fun treat for them to go there. I just saw somewhere that Carson Carroll's told someone that he's only been to one NHL game before. So this was only a second NHL game. Going to the Stanley Cup finals has got to be a fun experience. And this is just kind of a whirlwind time. They were just all in Buffalo at the Combine. You know, some of them went up to Toronto. I know Keaton Verhoff was there to meet with the Maple Leafs. Then, flying to Vegas for this experience. He'll be heading back home here pretty soon and have a little bit of time to maybe unwind a little bit before heading to Buffalo for the draft at the end of the month. But, you know, these guys have had a really busy year. I don't think fans fully realize like how many, every game this year, you know, there are at minimum 20 scouts there. And they want to talk to him after the game. They want to talk to him during the week. There's teams flying in to take him out to dinner. He's having Zoom calls. Like it is a busy process for these guys in their draft year. So they have been going through this for a full year, and now they're finally kind of at the finish line. They're going to get picked. They're going to know where their future team is at, and then those guys are going to be able to sit back and just kind of be hockey players here at UND next year and not go through all that.
I want to talk draft because it leads into our big topic I want to hit you on. What, from your sources telling you, could UND have 2 of the top 5 guys, top 6? What are you hearing for what could happen at the end of the month?
Yeah, I think they could have 2 of the top 5. Wow. Maybe they go 6, 7, maybe they go 2 and 4. Like it's right now, I think it's just really up in the air. You see a lot of mock drafts and stuff. And based on what I've heard, I think a lot of there's not a lot of consensus this year. You know, some years you can really go down the top 3 or 4 and be like, this is how the first 4 picks are going to go. That's not the case this year. Like even within NHL organizations, you have very differing opinions on some of these guys. And so it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. There are some teams at the top of the draft, they love a couple players. And if that player's there when they come up to pick, they're going to take that player. But maybe if one of the other players slit, you know, so it kind of depends on how it shakes out. I would be confident in saying they're both going in the top 10. Top 5, we will see. Is it possible? Yes. Is it for sure? No. So either way, UND's never had 2 top 10 picks in the same draft. That will be a first. And it'll certainly be interesting to follow this season.
Let me ask you, we haven't had you on since Carl's committed. How did UND do this? It's to me, I read your story. I'm like, wow, that seemed like out of left field. Was it, or was this something they've been working for a long time on?
No, he was kind of so there's 4 really high-end defensemen in the WHL that are going to come to college this year. I've just been kind of calling them the big 4. They're all going to be stars. They're all great players. But of the 4, the one guy UND zoned in on early was Carson Carls. He was the guy they loved all along. They have been after him for a year. You know, he has been the guy they really, really wanted. And I think it's because he fits in a lot of ways. First of all, he's from Manitoba. He's close to home. He plays a style of game that UND is known to play. He is going to play really hard defensively. He is going to he blows up an opponent every single game. There's one hit he makes every game where we're like, oh my goodness. And then he adds offense too. He's got the offensive part of his game. He's just an all-around player. And some of the other guys among the big four, they're really, really dynamic offensive players. Carson Karls kind of has all of it. And I think that's what drew UND to him is the total package on and off the ice. Just all four guys are going to be great players, but Carson Karls was the one they have been after all along. And to get him and finish that off is certainly something the coaches are very excited about. So, and he's signed, so the coaches can actually talk about him, which is great for me. I don't have to wait a year to get a quote from the staff. He signed his GIA, so I was able to get some thoughts from the coaches on him. And they said he's everything we want in a player.
That's all that matters, by the way. We can finally get something on the record on that. That's the good stuff. So that leads into the big topic I wanted to hit you on, and college hockey and its commissioners and coaches seem, Brad, to get the 5-for-5 eligibility over the goal line because when I saw it right away, and I wanted to have you on, we just didn't have time because I thought college hockey, that doesn't work. The old proposal where there are guys that don't go to college right away out of high school, they go play in the USHL. This amendment seems to work for everybody. Give us the background, what you know on how the college hockey commissioners basically made this happen.
Yeah. So it was going to be the initial setup was 5 years of eligibility. Your clock starts when you graduate from high school. That means your timeline expires, 5 years after that. Right now, college hockey is unique where you can have 3 years of delayed enrollment before your clock starts ticking. Every other sport except for skiing, it's 1 year of delayed enrollments allowed. So college hockey uses this, and it's a tool a lot of the non-traditional powerhouses use. If you can't get the Carson Karls or the Keaton Verhoffs, you go for the older players, and it evens it out a little bit where among their peer group, if everyone's grabbing 18-year-olds, Carson Karls is going to be significantly better than some of the other players. But when you can go get a 22, 23-year-old player, well, that balances a little bit. That was going to limit that a little bit. Like the guys were going to be aging out at 23 instead of 25. The college hockey commissioners wanted to change it so the clock started at age 19.
Right.
I kind of told all of them, good luck, it's not going to happen. Well, I was wrong. They actually they banded together with men's basketball, and they actually got it changed. And I think their argument was this kind of keeps the same setup in college hockey. Like you can come at 19 for 5 or 20 for 4. Guys will probably do a little bit of both. But they said, in football, it doesn't matter. These guys are all coming at that age anyway. There's nowhere there for them to go for a year. So they're all enrolling anyway. So it doesn't change these other sports. They're all going to come in at the same time. It just kind of keeps ours a little bit similar to the way it is. And they listen. So I'm a little surprised. I know some college hockey coaches are breathing deep sighs of relief about this. I personally don't think it would have been that catastrophic if it went through. Junior hockey is probably breathing an even bigger sigh of relief because they're going to be able to keep players around more. Maybe high school can keep players in high school a little longer. So it would have had a lot of effects downstream to hockey. But they got their way, which is
stunning, honestly. That's where I was. When I saw it come out, I'm like, wow, college hockey made this happen. And this has happened, Brad, from everything I'm hearing, I'm sure you're hearing the same. This is going to get signed into effect in a couple weeks. It's going to start for this upcoming school year, which is another, when this all got going, I'm like, well, maybe for 27, 28. Nah, it's coming, and it's starting this fall.
Yeah, we're just waiting now for the word on the exact implementation of it.
Right.
And I think that's coming this week. So
Yeah.
we'll maybe get some more details, but certainly this makes it far less drastic of a change.
It's wild stuff there. Last thing for you. Speaking of the USHL, I saw that they're going to be expanding, looks like, to Nevada, Arizona, California. This is a bus league. Are we anticipating flights coming, like for the Fargo Force? What do you know about that?
Well, I haven't heard quite yet how the scheduling would work. If they first, I kind of want to see the teams that they get, how many of them are, and are they going to more play geographically where the USHL West plays against each other? I don't know how much crossover there will be. Maybe they'll have certain events like the Fall Classic or something where you do some more crossover. But those are certainly some questions to be had about how this goes. And do they have the ownership groups? Do they have the arenas to pull it off? We'll see. I know they want to make this happen here in the next year or two, and we'll see what happens. I'm kind of in let's see mode before this is definitely happening. I want to see more details.
The thing to me, I can remember when the Force got their franchise, USHL was not shaky ground. Like, well, let's see if they can stick around. The league is blown up because of how good the players are. The Force are uber popular. It's really surprising, at least to me, what has happened in the 15 years they've had a franchise here and how popular the league and team has become in that time frame.
Yeah, the quality of play is quite high.
Good.
I know even this year, the USHL lost some players to the CHL, guys who were going to go to the USHL because that's their route to college. Now all of a sudden they can go to the CHL and go to college. So some of those guys are doing that. They might be staying closer to home and going there. Even so, I came down to a couple of Fargo Forest games this year, and the level of play, you're like, okay, like this is still really high. These guys are making high level plays. It's really entertaining. Fargo probably does a better job than most organizations of finding ways to engage the fans. The arena's great, and they've obviously done a great job there, and they've obviously done a fantastic job building teams. Yeah. The amount of times that Fargo has played in the Clark Cup final is just absurd. They were very close this year to doing it again. They've just had incredible success, and I think that doesn't hurt when people come out to games.
It's great to catch up, bud. Thanks so much for doing this. Appreciate it. Have a great summer. Hopefully you get a chance to unwind a little bit. We'll catch up soon, okay?
Perfect. Thanks, Tom.
There he goes. Brad Schlossman joining us from the Grand Forks Herald. Everything you need on UND hockey, he's got it for you. And he'll be a busy man the next couple weeks. The NHL draft comes up at the end of June in lovely Buffalo, New York. It's back in Buffalo. And as you heard Brad say, UND for the first time is going to have 2 picks out of the top 10 for this year's NHL draft. That's pretty impressive stuff. All right, we'll break. We'll get caught up here in a few emails. We'll chat some Vikings coming up as well. In our final 35 minutes or so of our program here today. Hot Mike rolls on WDAY Extra. We're back after this.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Brad Schlossman giving us some good content there on Stanley Cup Final, NHL Draft, which we got some local connections there, and obviously the 5-for-5 proposal that we expect to be ratified by the Division I Cabinet. They meet just under 2 weeks, June 23rd and 24th, and expect that will then be implemented for this upcoming fall. And then that leads to the next question of what do we call players, athletes in their 5th year, right? Because we know it's a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Are we going with super senior? Are we going just with 5th year? Because that doesn't sound all that great. Because I've heard different broadcasters refer to, we know they're grad student, grad transfer, right? If they're playing in their 5th or their 6th year, specifically in basketball. Like for public address announcers, I think we've heard them say, 5th year forward, John Smith. Is that what we're going to do? Because that doesn't sound all that fun. Super senior is okay, but that also may indicate somebody who's over 65 years old. I don't know. We need a good term for that. But just for the broadcasters out there that now we're going to do this for athletes that are in there. And I'm not talking like the ones that are now in school. The ones that enroll starting in August, once they get to their 5th year, what are they? That's what I'd like to know. Inquiring minds need to know that. That's important to us here because that's what's going to be reality here in just a couple weeks. Let's do a couple emails here. We got a few minutes before we break, and we'll chat some Vikings. Dom, there's no hype for the World Cup because nobody can afford to go. Ticket prices are ridiculous. I'll probably boycott even watching it on TV. That has certainly been the case in terms of tickets. I think they've come down a little bit, but there are going to be some empty stadiums. I don't think there's any question about that. You might see, I'm not sure to the level of like Maction kind of camera shots that Fox will employ for its broadcast coming up starting tomorrow. Not necessarily when the Mexicans are playing in the United States or Germany or Argentina. I'd love to say Italy, but we're not even in it again. France, like those matches, I imagine, when you've got like Ronaldo in Portugal and Argentina and Messi, those stadiums will be packed no matter where they're playing. But what, like a Senegal, I don't know, give me a Austria. Now that may struggle to have some butts in the seats when the tickets are as expensive as they are. And you can't discount in a tournament like this where it's not just based in the United States. The political nature of this is also, you cannot underestimate the climate of that, the temperature of what other nations and nationalities feel about the United States right now. You can't underestimate that either, of what the political climate is surrounding the tournament. That's unmistakable. And I know some would prefer to say, well, can we just keep that out of it? You can't. Like in the Olympics, the World Cup, events like that, they are intertwined. They come together. And it goes with the territory of it. You hope that it doesn't play a huge role. You just like to appreciate the sport and the games that are going to be played. But I would be hard-pressed to think that won't work its way in some way over the next month and a half with this tournament taking place. We'll wait for that. One other quick thing before we break. I got word of this. We didn't have time to talk about it yesterday on the show. It happened late Monday afternoon. West Fargo Horace standout Lakin Donnelly picked up her latest offer. This one comes virtue of Aaron Johnston in South Dakota State. So that's big time. You get offered by the Jackrabbits. That means, Aaron Johnston, that you are awfully good. That was, to me, that's what that verifies. He knows talent. He knows who can play. If you're getting an offer from him, that you can ball. Not that I didn't think anybody didn't think that about Lakin, but that's a different level of attention there. So she's heading into her junior season. You'll remember she burst on the scene as a 7th grader. Feels like we've seen her play forever, which is partly accurate because she's been playing varsity basketball for 4 years. But she has the Jackrabbits now, has North Dakota State, has St. Thomas, and North Dakota as her current offers. So every year looks like we're going to have a different Horace standout playing Division I basketball. Jaden Hale obviously did it, just wrapped up her freshman year at Gonzaga. Jordan Christofferson is about to do it, going to her senior year. She's going to play at North Dakota State. You've got Lakin now coming up through the pipe, and we'll see. She's in no rush. Granted, she's a member of the class of 28, not 27, as she'll be heading into her junior season this upcoming winter for the Hawks. But keep an eye on Horace again. They're going to be awfully good in girls basketball in the EDC this upcoming season. All right, let's break. We come back. The drama that is the Minnesota Vikings on June the 10th. You're asking why? Well, we're 6 weeks out from training camp. Well, the QB circus is underway. Hot Mike is back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here on this Hump Day Wednesday. So, yesterday, you're just dorking around the office here, getting a few things done, and NFL Live on ESPN pops on. I have ESPN on in my office just because it's background noise. If there's hopefully a game on, that's even more distracting. But first thing out of the chute yesterday was on the Minnesota Vikings. And, it's for them, it's June the 9th. They have a show on every day. So they need something to talk about every day, even when football's not happening. And obviously with the Minnesota Vikings now in their mini camp and the availability that both the quarterbacks spoke yesterday, that seemed like a layup for them for their opening story surrounding on the quarterback situation with the Vikings. And yesterday the media was out at TCO Performance Center in Eagan, able to get video of J.J. McCarthy and Kyler Murray both splitting reps during camp. And the video isn't going to be anything electric. It's not going to tell you, wow, look at how far Kyler Murray is ahead of J.J. McCarthy in terms of how he's throwing. This is the best part about when I love how the NFL reporters are able to, quote-unquote, report on what they see during either OTAs or minicamp. Murray was the first up with the ones at the start of 7-on-7 drills. This according to the Star Tribune. Around midway through practice, was picked off twice in the opening minutes, though the degree to which either interception, one by safety Theo Jackson, the other by cornerback Byron Murphy Jr., was his fault, would be debatable. Those type of mistakes, even at a time in the calendar when the football, quote, isn't real, as Murray said, can be frustrating. Murray, like McCarthy, describes himself as a perfectionist. And this is the kind of story that is going to linger for the next several months. If you thought, well, this will bubble up now, but we're going to have a result before training camp, I'm here to tell you that is not going to be the case. Even though I think inside the Vikings walls of TCO Performance Center, the decision has already been made. I said this last week. I think in their heart of hearts, Kyler Murray is going to be the starting quarterback for the Vikings for their opening game of the season come the second week of September. I think that has already been decided. The question now is who's the number 2 quarterback? I said last week, and I think it's Carson Wentz. I think J.J. McCarthy's ship has sailed on him playing. Now, yesterday, Kevin Seifert from ESPN, and applaud him 1,000 times for this. There's so many reporters these days that just love the sound of their own voice and drone on about asking a question. Seifert was as direct as you can be, as you're going to hear from McCarthy, Murray, and O'Connell here on various starting QB topics. And Seifert asked McCarthy flat out, do you want to be traded? Here's what he said.
I love this organization. I love the coaching staff. I absolutely love these players to death. This is where I want to be. I feel like I can thrive in this system. And, it's just, everything played out exactly how I wanted it. I wouldn't want anything else to change.
I think the toughest part is, again, I was there for 7 years. I know I had 2 different, offensive systems, but at the same time, you're getting all those reps. Now having to split reps, it's me already being behind, not getting the amount of reps that, you would typically want a guy to get learning an offense. That's probably the toughest part, just, again, going back to the past, being in control of everything, understanding what we were already doing because I was comfortable within the system. Now coming in a new system, learning on the fly, trying to play fast, efficient, and let it loose while learning is pretty, that's the toughest part.
I have an idea of, the appropriate time to then transition to, preparing, whoever that player is going to be to get ready to go. But
when is that, Kevin?
Yeah, the idea of me sharing that information, because it's hard. You can have an idea all you want, but we've got a great plan in place. We want to make sure that when we get to training camp, we've got a great plan. You don't have a ton of time, but it does set up well to check a lot of boxes from a standpoint of elevating that room, letting the competition play out, but also being able to make a decision and move forward the best way that we know the ultimate decision is going to come down to what's best for the Minnesota Vikings.
O'Connell is the master of word salad. He just is. He says a lot of stuff without saying anything. We knew he wasn't going to say anything about being a starter or who was going to be a starter on June 10th. Now, you remember the comments last week during OTAs that lit everything on fire when McCarthy said, it's like two guys in a classroom, referring to him and Kyler Murray. He sits on one side and I sit on the other side, and it's the coach's responsibility to teach us and coach us, which, of course, left plenty to interpretation, and there's been no shortage of words spent dissecting it in the past week. Is the relationship cordial? Is it adversarial? Is it merely competitive? Personally, I think the competition is over. Now, Murray has started, I believe, 87 career games in his time in the National Football League, all with the Arizona Cardinals, and has dealt with a variety of injuries. And he's had some spectacular play. He's had some bad play during his time with Arizona. His ability to stay healthy was another reason, I think, why the Cardinals are willing to eat whatever it is, $30, $35 million worth of salary to have him and pay him to play for another team, which is essentially what Arizona is doing. The Vikings are paying him just over $1 million to play for their team. So he's on a massive deal for Minnesota this year. To me, again, this is such a league where you can look at things and almost connect it directly from past decisions of how it's played out. Now, I was on record right after the Vikings season ended 2 years ago when the Vikes lost to the Rams in the wild card game, and Sam Darnold got pummeled into submission. And I said it even as after the Lions game and after the game against the Rams, like, all right, yep, Sam had a great year, but it's time to move on and give the reins to J.J. McCarthy. Even though I thought, and I know I said it, when they beat the Seahawks out there in Seattle right around Christmas time in 2024, like, I think, should they pay Darnold and keep him? Revisionist history is what it is. Obviously, they decided not to. They let the guy walk. He goes and leads the Seahawks to a Super Bowl championship the very next year. And McCarthy has the kind of year where you look at, but beside the injury against Atlanta to the ankle or the knee, and then the game against Detroit where he comes back and looks fabulous, and then the stretch after that where he was flat out bad, still lends the fact that this guy is not ready yet to play. And he's already missed a whole year to injury and missed half a season to injury last year. That this day and age, NFL teams are no longer waiting around on highly drafted quarterbacks. My franchise, my favorite team, is a perfect example of that. The Jets recycled 2 quarterbacks, Darnold being one of them, Zach Wilson being another, within 2 to 3 years. Darnold got 3. Zach Wilson, I believe, got 2.5 before they were ready to move on from him. That time of developing a guy is not in the case, especially when you have a team like Minnesota where they have a defense that's ready to go, ready to challenge. You've got an unbelievable skill player in Justin Jefferson who, if he goes another year like he had this past year without getting the ball thrown to him a whole lot, when does that start become a heck of a lot louder for the new general manager to say, hey, I want the ball or I want out? You have to imagine that's going to get awfully louder if 2026 is anything like 2025 for him. That's why I think in their heart of hearts, their decision's already been made. This is all for us to talk about on June 10th, but this is all theater in my mind. I think everything has been decided. More of what O'Connell said. Interpretations of those comments are going to be what they are. In the room, in the actual day-to-day, the dialogue between those guys, the interactions have been professional. Even more so than that, it's been a positive room. So I didn't make a lot out of it. That's what part of the competition is all about. There's no hiding anything. It's going to be displayed on the field. I don't know if that clarifies a ton about what McCarthy said, but to me, it just seems like this is all theater. We already know, and when we get to training camp at the end of July, we're going to tell you that Kyler Murray is going to be our starting quarterback for week 1. Like, I don't sense a whole lot of this being drug out. Now, here's the thing. Over the 6-week span, when they wrap up OTAs next week and when camp opens, does Nolan Teasley have the wherewithal, if there is something that is offered for McCarthy, or they put McCarthy out there. Do they do that? Do they make a move before the season even starts? Now that will be interesting. One last thing on training camp, according to the Star Tribune. Again, it says, after next week's minicamp, the Vikings will vanish from the public view for more than a month. When they reconvene for training camp, we'll start to get a better read with our eyes and ears as to how the quarterback situation is unfolding. If it's Murray leading the way, as many of us think it is, it will be clear in the work. And remember, it's a one-year deal the Vikings signed Kyler. And that's the thing. If Murray goes out and plays great, then you pay him, and you got your guy. And JJ ships off to somewhere else. And if he's not good, then I don't know, you're back to square one. And if McCarthy doesn't develop, then good luck. Then you're in a spot where maybe a hard reset, something the Vikes just don't do. The Vikings are always competitive. They're not bad in terms of, hey, we're just going to bottom out, be horrible, like the Giants, get a couple of early picks, and then let's build it up in a couple years and be good. Like the Spurs were. Spurs were bad for a 10-year stretch. They got 3 lottery guys, and now here they are, 3 wins away from a championship. The Vikings never do that. The Vikings are always competitive at 7-10, 8-9, 9-8, like they were last year. They're never just, 2-15 or 3-14 horrible to be in the conversation of being the number 1 pick. That's the interesting situation around this football team starting like 5 weeks when camp opens in Eagan at the end of July. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for a pretty good Sports Wednesday. We got Game 4 of the finals tonight. Hot Mike on WDAY Extra wraps after this. All right, putting a bow here on things for this Wednesday Spectacular. We're back tomorrow. We'll have highlights from the NCAA Track Championships and the Decathlon getting underway. That is sneakily one of my favorite events every year on the sports calendar. And ESPN, for all of its faults, and they have plenty of them, they do this one really, really well. And with the advent of streaming, it has changed totally. Because I can remember, here we go on the Wayback Machine again, when Laura Raisler competed for the University of Oregon, when she won her national championship in the 800 meters in 2014. You would get the final races in track. You would never get anything in field. They would stop by briefly and say, hey, who won the shot put? Here's the jav winner. And here's who's won, like the high jump, the long jump, the triple jump. That's what you would get. Now it's such a different deal that they can stream every event, have results up for every event. It's really, really neat. And for those that are paying attention today, if you want to watch McGlynn and Olsen in the decathlon, that begins today at 3 o'clock Central Time with the 100 meters. It goes the 100. I should have done this with a 10. We'll save this. Eric, remind me, save this to do this tomorrow. I hope Getzinger's not watching. We can test him what the events are for the decathlon. The 100 tomorrow or today, the long jump, the shot put, high jump, and the 400 meters. That's all today. And if you want to watch those individual events, they are streamed on their own channels on ESPN+. And then tomorrow is the 110 hurdles, the discus, the pole vault, the javelin, and then the 1500, which you heard McGlynn say despises that at the end. That's tomorrow at about 9:45. Actual other competition on the track will begin at 7 o'clock tonight, and ESPN will have all of that for you. So that to me, when you get a chance to see it, and they've sectioned it off, which is, I think, better as well. The men go on Wednesday and on Friday. Women competition go on Thursday and Saturday. UND's Jaden Keeler, who we had on the show last week, she'll be competing tomorrow in the 10,000 meters. That goes at 9:55 tomorrow night. That will not be done until about 10:20 because that's a solid 30 minutes running. But we'll have coverage of that over the next few days. It's one of my favorite events, and looking forward to seeing who can bring home some championships. So between that, the World Cup starts tomorrow. We've got the College Baseball World Series starting on Friday. We're loaded with some pretty good stuff. Also, for you high school fans out there. We've got the last few days of the high school sports season for 2025-26. The last day of state golf in Minnesota is today, and then we have the high school baseball tournaments get going tomorrow. They'll play Thursday, Friday, and then back on Monday, I want to say it is, for the championship games at Target Field. They've done that now for the better part of a decade, which is really neat for the high school teams to get a chance to play at Target Field for their state championships. We've had a handful of go down there and play. New York Mills has been there. Perham's been there. It's a neat deal. For the big school, for the 4A schools, they play at CHS Field, the home of the Saints. That's also a really neat deal for them. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that over the next few days. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, What to Watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Here we go. We got Game 4 tonight. Spurs and the Knicks, 7:30 on WDAY. Madison Square Garden be rocking again. The home team is not won yet in this series. If the Spurs win tonight, it'll be the first time ever that the road team will have won the first 4 games of the NBA Finals. That's tonight at 7:30. As I mentioned, the NCAA track championships get going at 7 o'clock on ESPN. We'll see if they show anything of the decathlon. You can stream that, though, on ESPN Plus later today. And the Twins play Game 2 with the Tigers coming up at 5:30 on Twins TV. Thanks to our guests today, to Drew Trafton, to Zach McGlynn, and to Brad Schlossman. If there's any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody, on this hump day. Have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.